change the order, and we're going to put, after public comment, we're going to put the election of officers. So I'd like to hear from the public first. Oh, I forgot. We'll do the minutes after public comment. Ms. Fritz, would you like to go first?
Where do I go?
You can stand wherever you wish. The microphone isn't working.
It's not working?
It's not.
Hello, my name is Michelle Harris Fritz, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak during the public comments tonight on 2 areas of concern in regards to the Loudon County Solid Waste and Disposal Commission. I'm here tonight to address Chair Mrs. Hunter concerning matters of business with the Commission. On March the 30th, 2023, I made a public records request with the Solid Waste Commission for inspection of text and email messages of 2 commissioners that I witnessed taking place during the March 6, 2023 meeting. I did not ask for any records before or after the meeting. I received a public records request form from Mrs. Hunter stating that it is not practical for the records you requested to be promptly available for inspection and or copying because the office is still in the process of retrieving, reviewing, and or redacting the requested records. The time reasonably necessary to produce the records or information in order to make a determination of proper response to your request is April the 24th. The Loudon County policy states that the request will be determined and available within 7 days of submission. If I am going to be allowed inspection of these records, I would like to request that you tell me at this time so that I may entertain my other options. I also have the following query. At the 2023 March Solid Waste Commission, the Commission violated its own bylaws by a motion made by Mr. Waller to delay the election based upon the absence of 1 commissioner, even though significantly the election of this commission. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Ms. Fritz. Mr. Ankley. You're fine.
At the workshop, I had gave you a demonstration of what the hill looks like over at Matlock Bend by folding paper. Since that time, David asked me what documents was I using to come to that conclusion that there was a possibility that you could increase the fill on cells that are dormant. So I put together this 8-page package, and the first 4 pages address that. Page 1, and the source of that was the HANT lists the elevations across 3 different areas of this landfill. The one towards the bottom that I put a section through, A, is those cells that are closed. Section B, which is the center of it, those are also closed, or supposed to be closed. Section C is the working area, modules J and H. The reason I put the sections through it is so that I can then give you a demonstration on page 3 of how much material I believe can be put on top of those prior to final closure. In section A, it's plus 20 feet. In section B, it's nothing because it's already at 1090, you need 3 feet left over. And in section C, it's 30 or more. Page 2 takes the black off and shows you what it looks like. And you could read on page 2 the same elevations for remaining capacity. And you have to marry that with the one that's black, page 1, to get those differentials. Page 4 is another document that was provided to us. And there's a number of numbers on this, and David picked up on it when we were in the workshop. The red numbers are overfill. The black numbers are permitted fill. And the highlighted yellow supports what I had done with that previous page. And what I am saying that you got 20 to 30 feet that you can add to this file. Now, why is that important? In your package tonight, there's a HNT calculation of where we're at as of December 15th, 2022. Using tonnage per day and using pounds per CY. I'm not even sure what CY is anymore. 1632. I decided on my own to look back at years of 20, 21, and 23, 22, to look at the CCY and come up with a much lesser number. That number is 1445. And you can see it on the package tonight, the last page of your package. I also looked at the tonnage used here, and there's a footnote that says add 100 tons to 640, which says that you're gonna be at a volume that we haven't seen since 15 to 17. And I don't see any plans to increase that volume from 540 all the way up to 640. So with those calculations revised, the end closure date, when the landfill is full at the 41.7, would be either May 2025 or December 2025 by revising those numbers accordingly. Now the last 3 pages is an example of drawings we get for lots of different times, different reasons. These 3 happen to be in Amendment 2. And you can see on the first one, on page 6, it's fairly easy to read. And it gives you the modules. Down in the lower right-hand corner, the date this drawing was generated is 8/11/18. Page 7 is the same drawing, but with modifications in colors and groupings. It takes modules and puts them into what's called CDs, which are the closure points across the landfill. Up in the top of it is CA1, 12.9 acres, 2025. We had a elaborate discussion about this in the workshop, about why can't we close more of these, and we're told in no emphatic terms that we're gonna stick to the contract. Now module CA2 is another 11 acres, which doesn't occur until 2034. Module 3 doesn't occur until 2036, and module 4 in 2038. Now, everything on the upside of the yellow line is the 41. And you can see that some of the 53 is included in that closure, but not all of it. Because CA5, 10.7 acres, does not have a closure date in the contract, nor has it been offered. But there seems to be a trade-off for the ones that are filled in the lower side of this drawing versus the top side of the drawing. The next draft, also from 2018, takes that previous drawing and includes the 67 acres in the CA5. It's now 25.7. My bringing these up is these three drawings were offered last summer as part of Amendment 2. But there's three distinctly different drawings with 2018 dates. And if you look to the left of the title block, there's room for revisions. There isn't a single revision on any of these drawings to bring them from one level to the next level to the next level. And they change nomenclature. It goes from C to F, if you look at these. Drawing 7 is drawing F. Drawing 6 is drawing C. Drawing 8, it goes back to C. Why? And why don't we have revisions on this? Now, also included, but not distributed to you, this drawing, which shows a significant portion of the east side of the landfill not included in that 2024 calculation. So I think my calculations are quite correct. It'd be May 25 or December 25. I'll answer any questions if you have them.
So, Mr. Anklin,
Yes.
you provided the elevations and the cross sections and all that. Have you looked at the landfill and the footprint boundaries and the sloping that has to be done for compliance with the state to determine whether filling any of those areas is even practical?
Right, and that's what drawing 3 is.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out there on that B area, that ridge line,
Yeah.
and I don't know how you get another 30 feet out of it. You can't get vehicles up there. I mean,
Well,
to me, it looks like there's practical, and I'm not the landfill
Yeah.
expert, but it looks to me like there's practical limitations as to what you can do to raise the overall capacity of that landfill, and hopefully Republic will talk to that in more detail.
Well, if you look at the drawing 1, it says remaining capacity, and it gives you elevations that have not yet been achieved. And at the top of it is that white section, which I had asked last week, how many acres is at the top? Nobody seems to be able to tell me. That's why when you look at this drawing, I left the space between left and right.
Yeah.
How wide should that be? And I realize you gotta crown it.
Yeah, and it's there's a perception that this is a plateau.
Right.
It's not.
No, it isn't.
The 1090 is a peak.
Then that
It's
needs
a
to
ridge
basically
line.
be crowned. But the difference between this drawing, which is the final elevations, versus this drawing, which is the existing elevations, leads me to conclude there's 20 to 30 feet available across that whole thing. And, like you mentioned earlier, at the crown, how wide should that crown be given how far of a slope is down the left or right side? If you notice, on this drawing that I made,
Mhm.
in section A, from this point to that point, there are 17 steps of 20 feet apiece. On the other side, there's only 9 steps. That's why it's a sharper angle on one side versus the other, which means the center of the pile has shifted to the east. And that's true all the way down through. On the B side, there's only 14 steps to get to 1090. And 6 steps on the other side, so that slope is even sharper.
Yep.
Again, on the fill area that we're currently working in, module J, there's only 15 steps and 8 steps. So there's capacity there, besides the cells that are being filled, which is H, I, and J. That's why I took exception to the pro offered calculations of November of 24. Two things are different about it. The pounds per cubic yard and the daily tonnage. And I can show you the documents for the last 3 years. We never got to 500 a day, much less 6. And the pounds per cubic yard is not 1,600, it's only 1,400. Both of those numbers, when you multiply them out, expand the closure date. And that's all I wanted to say. All right?
I have some of the same concerns that you have, and the gentleman that came last week, what's his name?
Lee Cunningham.
Lee Cunningham. I'm hoping that he's going to give us some written answers, some responses to our questions, because we had valid concerns that need to be addressed in writing to clarify all of these issues. So I hope those are forthcoming, because we have many concerns that we want addressed. Thank you, Mr. Anklin.
You're welcome.
One thing that I'd like to say before we move on with regards to Ms. Fritz, I'm not ignoring your concerns. They are going to be addressed. Our attorney is here. I'm going to take things out of order. I'm going to move the election of officers to the beginning now, but then I would like to go to Ms. Murphy. She is our attorney, Elizabeth Murphy, and then we'll continue with the agenda, but your concerns will be addressed. At this time, we will have elections, and I'm going to need someone neutral to take nominations.
You have to relinquish the chair to the vice chair.
To the vice chair? Okay. The vice chair is the coach?
No, Henry's vice chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are the vice chair.
Okay. At this time, I'll open nominations for the chair.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to make a nomination, and, I've been with the commission a short period of time, really 3 months now, 4 months, I guess. And in that time, I've worked a lot with Pat, and she has a wealth of experience with the prior commission and the long-standing issues, and there are many, and they're valid. But as I've expressed to Pat, I'm very concerned with the speed with which we're dealing with issues, not the quality of it, but the speed that we're handling it, setting the priorities, determining the path forward, and bringing those issues to closure. And when we look at what's forward, it's taken months and months to get to the point where we can feel comfortable about submitting a Part 1 application. I'm not sure we're there yet, but we're close, I believe. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of documents that are going to come to this commission for some level of review, and we have technical experts. But I'm very concerned, Mr. Hanklin's issue aside, I'm very concerned in our ability to get this permit completed in the time that, regardless of who's correct on the final capacity, that we have available to us. And that's a significant liability for this county and for the small businesses and for the, if we have to put in transfer stations and do all the things to have an alternate dump site, alternate waste disposal site, that's significant. So change is not always bad, and I think we need a change, and we need a more, I'll call it a business management aspect to running the business of this commission and solving some of these problems and getting them behind us. They're all real, but we're not closing on things, and that bothers me. So with that said, I'd like to nominate Adam Waller as chair.
Any others? Okay, I'll move to close the nominations. Since there's no other nominations,
Can I nominate?
no. No other nominations, I'll call for a roll call vote. Mr. Hall,
Is the vote
to vote
yay for,
yes.
Yay.
Mr. Rowland,
Yay.
Satterfield,
Yes.
Pat,
No,
myself, yes. Adam,
Aye.
okay. Welcome to the NFL.
What about that?
Okay. Next, we'll take nominations for vice chair. I'll open it up for nominations.
Nominate Mr. Hall.
Any further nominations? Move to close the nominations. Roll call vote. Mr. Hall,
yes.
Mr. Rowland,
Yes.
Mr. Satterfield,
Yes.
Ms. Hunter.
I'll abstain.
I'll go yes.
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Okay. Vice chair is Mr. Hall. Secretary. I'll open the nominations for secretary.
Coach.
I don't know how to write. Did we ever define what the secretary is supposed to do?
It's in the bylaws. And,
Minutes. Publishing.
No, thank you.
Any other nominations?
I nominate Henry.
What's that?
I
You
said I
said you.
nominate Henry.
You're certainly within your rights to do that.
You're going to accept or deny?
I'll accept if that's the only nomination. Move we close them. Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Rowland,
Yes.
Mr. Satterfield,
Yes.
Ms. Hunter.
yes,
I'll vote yes. Adam?
Aye.
Okay, you got it done. Adam? Ready to go.
Attorney update?
Oh. Moving ahead on part one. I think there was a question about, the fill acreage size on the application.
My apologies. Forgot to.
And so, having gone over some legal issues already, that's something for the commission to review. That's on page 1. And the other 2 issues are on page 3 that have to do with the representation about the Jackson Law. And the 3rd issue is a representation on the same page about the regional authority conflating an approval under 814B with an approval of the expansion as the permit holder. Chairman Waller, did you want to quickly go over the law with that, or how did you want to
Let's let you take it.
proceed?
You have the JD, not me.
Well, the basic information for discussion on the fill acreage is not particularly a legal issue, but the way it relates to the legal issue is you want to make sure that whoever signs the part 1, that's you, as the new chair, you understand you sign under penalty of perjury, and there's very specific language under the signature, before the signature. So you want to ensure that the information is correct and you have a basis on which to make the representation. There is some confusion about the acreage. You may want to ask Republic sooner than later to resolve any confusion about whether it's 96.4 or a different amount. So the fill acreage on the application says 96.4 as the currently permitted waste footprint. If you add 40.7 to the 53 acres, you get one answer. If you add 67.2, it's different. Small differences, but it should be resolved before signing. The issue on the Jackson Law, and this is on the assumption that Republic prepared the part 1. So the statement that the Jackson Law does not apply to facilities that existed on June 2nd is a legal statement, not a factual one. So whatever the commission bases it on, it should determine what the basis for that is before someone signs under penalty of perjury. And I'm sharing that the question of whether an expansion applies is an open legal question, and it depends on facts and circumstances that would not be available in the part 1, and I do not have them either. But to make a claim like that, to make a statement like that for the commission, you want to make sure you know what your basis is, and the commission itself does not adopt or utilize the Jackson Law. That would be a city or a county. So the question is whether one of them has already adopted it, if it affects them, and then potentially there's a way to work it out where the language is not a bold assertion or affirmative assertion of what the law is, which is, I don't think, the role of the commission, especially when it doesn't apply to you as the commission.
What if this commission in the past has taken a stance on whether they fall under the Jackson Law or not?
Whether the commission falls under the Jackson Law?
Correct.
I couldn't speak to that, but commissions don't adopt the Jackson Law, only municipalities, cities and counties do. So that would be a confusing thing. A city or a county, it's like a zoning law. So if the commission doesn't have any land under its jurisdiction, then you don't have any zoning authority. So whoever the local zoning authorities are, they have the option delegated by the state to adopt the Jackson Law or not. And if they do, then you might be safer with a couple different options. But to just make, the point is to make a representation under oath like that about who is and is not covered, or if the expansion is and is not covered, that is a legal issue, not a factual one. Okay? The second issue is as to the...
Before you move on, I have concerns about that because we have had 2 attorneys with the same firm, and one attorney was emphatic that we should fall under the Jackson Law, which we did adopt, the county adopted. He felt that the Jackson Law should be applied to the extension, Then we had another attorney in the same firm that said that we did not. In the past, having attended many, many meetings, I know for a fact that the Jackson law has been applied with other applications in existing landfills as well, private landfills. So that would be a concern of mine. I think it needs to be addressed by the county, and I hope that it is. Thank you.
So what should we do as a solid waste commission? Confer with the county attorney or?
At this point, if we're not in executive session, my advice is limited to making it clear that that would constitute essentially a representation about what the law is, affirmatively and clearly. And what I'm saying is that law is not clear. It is an open and unsettled issue, and it depends on the facts and circumstances. It is also not
No, go ahead.
it's also not a factual statement, it's a legal one. So there's a difference between a factual statement and a legal statement. So I'm just bringing that to the front, and it's written by someone else. And if the commission chair is going to sign, more information will be needed in case there's a question that's raised later, so you can safely state what you based your position on.
Thank you.
I would like to add one other point. In attending past meetings, we have had citizens that live in Matlock Bend that felt the Jackson law should be applied to an expansion. And I think that when they hear about this, about any controversy or questions about the Jackson law being applied to this, and they find out, I believe we're gonna have people that are concerned about this issue. So somehow I feel this commission should look into this. That's my personal opinion.
You might research the records on that.
Absolutely.
So if I can ask one more question, is there a way to amend the attachment that's in the Part 1 application to reflect our, I'll call it uncertainty, or how we view this, so that we're not stating something that's false, we're just stating we've got two differing opinions, two different situations. Can we explain that fully, such that it's factual and truthful of our perspective and view on whether we check that box or not?
There are probably options to what is currently printed on the Part 1, but I'd like the opportunity to assess that and determine if it's more appropriate for executive session. Since I'm giving legal advice to the commission about options that may or may not result in some kind of risk to the commission. But generally, just to reiterate, the Part 1 is usually submitted as the beginning representation to the state about whether some of these other hurdles and obstacles have been cleared. And that's very normal. TDEC also has some obligation to check that. But it is an important kind of starter to it, and to move along with the expansion if that's someone's desire, if the commission decides to do that. It could potentially cause a problem later, and you would want to resolve the obstacles early and get the train moving.
Well, who would you, I mean, like Ms. Hunter has pointed out, we have different opinions from different attorneys. Who do we go to? Does our county attorney, would that be the person that would give us advice on what is and what is not?
What
Or-
I'm saying, and that question kind of undergirds what I'm saying, is one attorney says yes, one attorney says no. What I'm saying is it is an open legal question, so the commission doesn't want to be in the role of picking a side necessarily without more information or another alternative.
Okay.
That's kind of proves my point that it's a little up for debate, a jump ball, as they might say.
I would add, in my conversation with, I forget the gentleman's name, at TDEC in Nashville, who handles the Part 1s, his view is that what we've got in here is true. I mean, he's looking at strictly the regulation and interpreting that the Matlock landfill, because of the original permitting date, does not fall under the Jackson law. That's not necessarily grounds to agree with that, but that's TDEC's perspective.
I would like to see the county attorney look into this. This is a county issue, it's the Jackson law, it was the county that adopted it, and I think you should look into it. And I'd like to make a motion that the county attorney give an opinion whether the Jackson law is applicable in this expansion.
I'll second your motion, Pat.
Got a motion and a second.
Any conversation? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else, Ms. Murphy?
The 814B2 representation is on the same page. So the representation there appears to read that by the vote to authorize the application, the Part 1, so at the time that the Part 1 is approved, it's saying the commission has determined that the proposed expansion, I'm paraphrasing now, is not inconsistent with the Loudon County Regional Solid Waste Management Plan. So there may have already been a proceeding on this that predates me, so I'm raising it. It's been raised, and the point is that code section reads that an applicant for a permit for construction or expansion, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, shall submit a copy of the application, so that would be the Part 1, to the region, that's you, at or before the time the application is submitted to the commissioner. So they can do it at or before, they have that option. And it says the region, that's you, shall review the application for compliance with the provisions of this section. So I believe you already have a 10-year plan document, so that's what they're talking about, compliance with, does this match up with your 10-year plan, or I think the language is whether it's consistent, or I'm not sure if it's consistent with the plan or not inconsistent with it. I can't remember which way it goes. In either way, that's the assessment that the commission has to make as a regional authority. And it says, review the application for compliance with the provisions of this section, conduct a public hearing after public notice has been given, and then it cites the section where you follow the procedure for that prior to making the determination provided for in this subdivision. And then it gives everyone an opportunity to submit written and oral comments, and the proceeding has to be recorded and transcribed. And then the region shall render a decision within 90 days after receiving the complete application, and immediately notify the commissioner of accepting or rejecting. So the procedure's pretty well laid out in that code section, but the representation, it's kind of a fact-finding mission just to see if you've matched up with what the code requires. And since you're both the permit holder and the regional authority, the idea that one vote gets it all done, the concern is whether the record you've already created prior to my joining the commission here, whether there's a record that matches the code requirements as I just read.
Would it be safer just to go ahead and have a hearing that follows the code requirements?
Unless you've already done it. If you did it last year in August, or there was this process, then pull that paperwork out, show that you've done it. It's mandatory. It's not if you think it's a good idea, it's mandatory. And so again, to move forward with it, but you can be moving forward that at the same time you're doing other things, so it shouldn't affect your timeline. But if you failed to do it, other issues arise. So those were the 3 items that relate to getting the Part 1 moving.
So was there any question as to whether we were this Commission was the authority under 68-211-814B?
Is that directed to me?
Yes.
My understanding, based on a letter from prior council, was that there's not an issue, but I did send an email around and ask if I was understanding that correctly, because again, I'm late to the party. But the memo I had read on it, it had to do with authority, who had authority with regard to the county and the commission, and it talked about being formed under the Regional Act
Okay.
814. So that's what caught the attention to look it up.
I think she's referring to is that the memo or the opinion from Mr. Bowman with regards to the authority of the Solid Waste Commission?
I can't remember who wrote it. If you give me a minute, I can find it. It didn't look like attorney confidential, but
Is that what you handed out earlier?
no. It was from Kramer Racing
Yes, it was
to the
Bob
mayor.
Bowman.
Okay.
I believe that was the 2012 opinion. And he specified the authority of the Solid Waste Commission and its relations with the county.
That's it. I'm just pointing out what the statutes say so you can discuss however you want to do it or what to do. But those representations are in the part one to get it moving you want to address.
Is it safer just to hold that meeting and follow the obligations of that, just to,
Well,
Make sure we
the
dot our i's
law's,
and cross
the
our
law's
t's.
mandatory, so if you have not already done it and the record isn't there showing that that occurred, then you would want to comply with the mandatory provisions of 814B2.
I can't say it occurred. Pat, do you know if it occurred?
Not to my knowledge.
So I think it's safe just to plan to do that. So maybe look to do that in May.
Should that go hand in hand with the county attorney position on Jackson Law?
That'll work.
When you say hand in hand, what do you mean?
I mean, having the county attorney's opinion, at the same time we take that action.
Anything else, Ms. Murphy?
I don't know that you can do whatever you want, but this code section is fairly straightforward as far as what the procedure is for having the vote. You certainly can get another opinion from someone else if that's what you choose.
So conceivably, we could have two votes in one meeting.
Two votes.
One is the Solid Waste Commission and one is the authority under, right?
Authority under, I'm sorry, I
Being the
lost.
Regional Waste Authority.
Regional Waste.
Oh, meaning have a vote as the permit holder and then a vote as regional authority? Sorry, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yes, yes,
that's what I was trying to
yes.
say.
You can- However you want to do it, just
Okay.
comply with the law.
That's fine, how we're voting on what.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Anything else? Let's talk about mud, tires, and other. Ms. Hunter?
I'd like to address Ms. Fritz and her concern about her records request. She made a records request and we went back and forth. I was quite emphatic that since she had made a request to inspect, that she was not required by state law to fill out a form, and that the text should have been forthcoming. I was a little bit uncertain before I actually started the process, and I turned to the Office of Open Records Counsel to get not only their opinion, whether they were public records, but then how to proceed. And I gave that to you, Ms. Murphy. But they are public records. A commissioner does not have to relinquish their apparatus to see it. He suggested screenshots to make them available. I thought those were all reasonable requests, and I thought we should have gone forward and looked at all the text and made the determination whether they were personal or business and turned them over to her. We did not do that.
Mud and tire and other complaints.
Now, I'd like to know when she's going to get her records, because I gave a date of next Monday as the deadline. So is she going to get her records or not?
She'll
think
have them by
she-
the 24th if they exist.
If they exist, what does that mean?
If there's anything that falls in the purview of what she's requested.
Well, I'm going to turn that opinion over to you, because he did give specific guidelines that I believe should be followed. And she should get the records as soon as possible. Thank you.
Mud and tires.
I think I mentioned about the mud. I continue to get emails from Mr. Byers. He has continued. His concerns are about the mud on the road. It gets better. It should get a lot better now with dry weather. But he is concerned because he feels that whenever the rain, the mud is on the road, it also damages his very expensive vehicles. And I think that's a legitimate concern. We went out of our way on the Solid Waste Commission to put a provision in the contract to address that issue. It shouldn't be a continued issue, but it is. And there are people that use that road regularly that are not only inconvenienced, but it is a cost to them when they have to wash their vehicles. It is a nuisance and a problem that I feel the operator should address, and should address it promptly. This has been going on for 8 years, and enough is enough. That's my personal opinion. Mr. Jameson, do you have any comment?
Mud's still in the road.
That's what Mr. Byers says. He continues to send the pictures. I'm going to forward all of the pictures to our attorney.
Here's my question to the public. We're not cracking the atom here, and we're not sending anybody to Mars. Fix the mud issue, period.
Where are we on the new road sweeper?
We currently have a rental sweeper that actually contains the waste, and we can dump it, instead of sweeping it off the road. So we have that, and then our, old one is actually being, approved to be repaired, so we'll be getting that one soon.
So it wasn't towed. You can try and build it back.
Yep.
Good. All right.
Is the tire wash functioning?
It is
Yes.
functioning. We actually have Moby Dick, who is the manufacturer and installer of that wheel wash, scheduled to be on site on April 26th for an assessment.
What time is that?
What time?
Mhm.
He didn't give me a time. He'll just look me up when he gets there.
I know someone that complained to me that when they used it, all it had was muddy water washing their vehicle.
That's the purpose of the assessment.
Okay, because he was quite unhappy about that, and also the tire situation. That whenever they go to dump tires, they either have to call ahead of time and find out several calls later that they're still being inconvenienced having to have the tires at their location. In one instance, when they finally got up there, they said the middle of that container where the tires are kept was crushed. Can you tell me what happened to that container?
We're currently working with Liberty Tires to get a better handle on tire trailer switch out. So that tire got a little bit overloaded, so in order for them to be able to pull it down the road, we attempted to smash the tires down, and the weight of the tires and the weight of the machine buckled the sides. So when we pulled it out, it buckled in the middle, so.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that it buckled in the middle and tires were flying everywhere. we do have to do a better job, because I've spoken with Matlock Tire, with Paul's Tires, with smaller vendors about the tire situation, and they feel that this is just a big inconvenience that needs to be addressed. And one question that they asked me, which I couldn't answer, are we taking a lot of out-of-county tires at this facility? Why do we have such a large number in one month, when some of these vendors can't even get their tires down there? Can anybody address that?
We don't charge enough. That's why.
We're not gonna charge $10, Mr. Classic.
It's a market economics, supply and demand. If that's the easiest, cheapest, lowest cost place by many, many times over, people have no incentive to be more responsible with their tires, to retread their tires, to recycle them otherwise. So they're gonna throw them away. That's the unfortunate reality of it.
Well, what I worry about is someone that takes a bunch of tires over there and they're turned back. What I worry about is whether they're going to take them back to their location or dump them along the road or some other location. So I think somehow we have to find a way of prioritizing our vendors and the people in our community first before we bring other tires.
Yeah, we're not accepting out-of-county tires, so the tire program is the same in all counties across Tennessee. Is specifically, this is the drop-off location for Loudon County. So that's what's coming in there. Every county has the same designated location. It's all formalized in a program through TDEC.
But that's operated on a
That's right.
honor system. Like I
That's right.
said, when they come in, you from Loudon County, yep. Like I said, that's all that's happening now. There's not really any verification as vehicles come in, if they are from the county or, I said, like I told you last meeting, we have the same problem at the convenience center in Greenback.
Yep.
We provide, waste service for Blount and Monroe County free of charge at our convenience center when they come in there. So I understand that. Going back to the mud, I think we covered that. It's, the tires is not the big issue where the mud is. The mud is up on the underside of the vehicle. So you may come out with clean tires, but as you go pull out on the road, the mud is dropping down from underneath. So whatever you do, you need to address the fact that washing the tires will not stop the mud. You have to get, whatever it is underneath the
If I may, we do have, personnel, on site as they come out of the wheel wash, with a pressure washer, washing around the fenders and between the wheels. And
like I said,
But it's on the undercarriage.
It's on the-
I mean, I don't get up and under the truck.
you gotta have something there that puts the water straight up to the undercarriage of the truck. It knocks the mud off there. Like I said, the tires, I understand there's a certain amount of mud on tires or whatever, but I just about guarantee you, dollar to a donut, the mud on the road right now is not coming from the tires, it's dropping down from the underside of the trucks. I mean, that's just, and I'm not pointing, I don't think there's any fault to point at, it's just the fact that we need to come up with a better way of making sure those trucks are free of mud when they leave.
Yeah, when we have them out there, we'll certainly look at other
I
options.
think you need to do that.
We definitely will. Is there, and I might have missed it, I'm sorry, I had to step out briefly. You all have been getting other complaints in the last 30 days? You've been
I
receiving
have.
complaints? Okay, so at the last meeting, Ms. Hunter, you committed to sending us copies of all the complaints that you were getting so that we could address them real time, and we have not received a single communication from you or copy of any complaints. So I just would again ask, we want to meet your expectations. We want to solve the problem. If you are getting complaints, we're please asking you to send them directly to Teresa so we can get on top of it immediately.
Mr. Jameson, you live out there, don't you?
Every day. I drive through it every day. Underneath, you're correct, underneath the truck is the problem. The wheel wash that was there used to have some spray ups on it when it was first installed, but there wasn't enough of them. It was like driving through a mist. So the pressure side of the wheel wash up underneath. But I may add, the secret to all of this, keep the trucks out of the mud. You've heard me say that many, many times. And I know it's an expense to the vendor, but that is really the only option that we have.
Did the Republic Address, have they established some kind of gravel-based platform for the trucks to back onto and to dump, or is it still doing the?
Go ahead, Teresa.
Yeah, so the location of our dump area is different, it's actually a lot shorter, so we were, taking a long road around and coming up on, the road
Right.
wasn't, constructed very well, so that led to a lot of standing and ponding water. We've since moved from there, our road to the working face is a lot shorter, it's, leaves gravel, goes right up onto the working face where we have a rock pad for trucks to back up on, so
So,
the contact.
One of two things, one, the trucks are going past the rock pad into mud, or, like I said, I mean, that's, like Henry said, it's not, we know where the mud's at, it's just coming up with, I think the rock pad was a great idea, I just think that the wheel wash needs to include an undercarriage spray, something to knock the hide off your hand if you stick your hand in it. I mean, of that magnitude. I used to go through some car washes sometimes, and some of them have good ones. The first thing you went across was a pipe that sprayed water underneath your car and cleaned up it as you went in. So, that to me, y'all know how to operate, and you come up with it. But I'm afraid we're gonna get to a point one of these days where saying we're gonna look into that is gonna come to.
If I might suggest, why don't we go out every 2 hours of every single day and take photos of what the road looks like, and then we can have a conversation of what's actually happening and be
But
aligned.
just-
And if
just-
there's something that needs to be better, we'll happily do it, and maybe if it doesn't look like
Just-
those are on there,
just
then
put-
we all
just-
can agree.
Just
that
put you up a
we're-
mini cam on a post out there.
Let's do, you're welcome to do that.
A
We'll
web-
go
a
out
webcam of the
every
road.
2 hours. We'll go out every 2 hours, every single day between now and next meeting and document the conditions of the road, and we can have a real honest conversation about what's going on there.
I think we should have cameras so we can see if the trucks are
You're welcome to
leaving.
install those, Ms. Hunter, absolutely. It's your
I
prerogative.
think we should have cameras, under the
You don't
contract,
feel
we're
like
supposed
that's
to have
your
security.
responsibility?
We-
You're operating the landfill.
Again, we just offered every 2 hours of every single day.
I
to
mean,
go
well,
out
you
with
weren't
photographs
being
and evidence.
facetious, so you were actually thinking you're gonna go out there and take
That's right.
pictures every 2
I'm not being
hours.
facetious. I've never been facetious with this board. I'm being very honest. We
You
want to
think
solve
that's
the
easy?
problem.
Okay, never mind, I'm not.
Well, I think we should have security and we should have cameras so we can see at any time of the day or evening whether trucks are leaving with or without mud. And it wouldn't be a big expense. We're supposed to have security anyway. And that's a sure way of knowing whether those trucks are leaving with mud or not. And it wouldn't be an expensive thing for you to do. And under the contract, we're supposed to have security anyway. So I'd like for that to be addressed.
Larry, do you have a dash cam on your car?
No, but I can get one. I got a video camera out here.
Scott Newman has nothing else to do. You can sit out there and video it. City deputy, okay.
Mr. Chair,
It's amazing how we
Yes,
can
ma'am.
get knee-deep in minutia.
do we want to move anything with regards to Republic forward? So, perhaps we can ask Ms. Murphy can be on her way if we're through.
Please, yeah, especially billing by the hour. Is there anything
I did
else?
not mean to be rude, but I was about to write on Mr. Hall's notepad, can I go now?
Is there anything else on the agenda you feel you need to stay for?
I don't think so.
See if there's anything on the Jackson law about mud.
Get right on that.
Is there anything that you're going to bring up that our attorney needs to hear, Mr. Classen?
I did have one just housekeeping. Did a full size of exhibits B and the other one, where are they?
We handed them out to every single one of
At
these
the last
individuals
meeting?
at the last meeting.
I said I had them in my car.
You've got them in your car, okay, so
Is
the
there
question,
digital copies of this?
that was my
Yeah.
miss. That was my miss.
I her earlier today.
Okay, so I did determine they're somewhere and I just hadn't gotten them, and I should
Well,
have.
she has the digital copy, she's gonna pass down to you.
You all,
That- oh,
you
that
all
was
have
the-
digital copies
Well,
attached
I'm
to an
gonna,
email.
there's 2 sets of everything, I'm gonna give her one.
That was the better question. On the digital, the new digital,
Mhm.
can I expand that out past a thumbnail?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, so that's the one I'm looking for.
It's,
Where's the jump drive he just gave you before the meeting
I
started?
have it.
She wants it.
Do you want it?
What's on the jump drive? Very
The-
worried
the
about
digital.
accepting things.
No,
The digital.
everyone has it. I've emailed it to all of you. It's been attached. I'm happy to send it again, no problem. I'll do that tonight.
So the jump drive,
But
Is-
she has it, Pat has it right there on that jump drive.
okay, great.
And I'm gonna give her a hard copy.
I'll just pass it on down.
Do
And
you
what's
want a
on the
hard
jump
copy?
drive?
the drawings,
All of it.
yes.
Groovy.
I might
I know
go
that's
out and
not
do
a
that.
I had it last week and I forgot about it, I delivered it tonight, my apologies.
No problem, no problem. It will get immediately into
I will
the
step
pipeline.
out, you can run the
Ms.
meeting.
Murphy, do you need a digital copy? I mean, a hard copy?
No, digital's fine as long as it's not stuck in the thumbnail size.
Okay.
If it's expandable and it can be, done that, then that's all I needed.
Well, we have duplicates, so you can have one.
Of the paper,
Yes.
I don't think I need that right now as long
Okay.
as it's big enough. And I'm going to depart and leave you all to your business.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Thank
You're
you.
clear to depart, safe travels.
I won't charge
hay
you for the
bales.
last half hour.
No hay,
Sorry.
no hay bales.
Watch out for the hay bales, right? Okay, cool.
Records, storage, and update.
Do you want me to talk about that? We need a place to store our records. We have a new facility. We have a current facility, but, we need to find out from the mayor if he'll let us use that bottom drawer. What I'm going to suggest is that we've allocated money for a scanner, a high-speed scanner, and also a printer. And I'd like to start digitizing the records and what we need to keep. We'll have to go by our retention schedule. Do that. I think we were also talking about office space. We had office space here at this facility for many, many years until Mayor Herron moved us to the county office building. One thing that I'd like to say, why I feel Loudon County needs to address this, every month, every year, since we've been with the county, since the county has been our fiscal agent, we have been paying a trustee's fee. And from 2010 to 2022, we've paid over, close to $37,000. So I think that with Loudon County Solid Waste Commission being part of the county in a way and paying the trustees' fees, that we should be able to get some consideration for some storage space for our records.
We talked to the mayor about this room up here, but it seems like Mr. Jenkins has commandeered it for planning and zoning, and he has it, all those cabinets and stuff are documents related to his office. Mr. Hall, have you heard from the city of Loudon?
I talked to Ty Ross, and the good news is he didn't say no. What he did say was, I think he had something in mind, but it was gonna be co-located with some other staff. So he needed to look into that before he could give me anything definitive. I also asked him if he knew of any private office space in Loudon, hopefully with an exterior entrance for after hours that might be leased on for reasonable terms.
Well,
Not ideal, but, it's an option.
in regards to records custodian, I know Ms. Hunter was records custodian's chair, and I believe it should go with the chair.
Yep.
And in terms of scanning, I have a super fast 2 scanners in my office. So I'm happy to take a box at a time, and I can scan a maker's box in 20 minutes. And I'm happy to knock those out in the next couple of months, just get it over with. So there's that.
Okay.
So I guess there needs to be a motion, if someone would like to make one for me to become the records custodian to travel with the board chair.
I'll make a motion that the chair should be the records custodian.
Second.
Any debate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll abstain.
So I'll get those and start scanning them in Monday.
I think we still could, should continue to, I don't know, asking Buddy will get us far away, but, you know,
No.
I'd like I said last time, this is a three-party organization, Lenore City, Loudon, and the county. And we probably, I don't know that we'd have a whole lot of luck with Lenore City, but hopefully Loudon City and some, you know, we can find somewhere in the county, like I said, commission that deals with multi-millions of dollars within the county should have some place to hang their hat. And we need to continue to work on that, in my opinion.
Well,
That
most,
and $1.50 will get you a coffee.
most especially when we're
$2
building a
nowadays.
new office for the soil conservation. They're a state agency, we are a county agency. We need a little bit more of an effort to get us a space. We've had one for years, and now we're sort of, you know, just blowing in the wind.
Well, I'll have to agree with you on that, Pat. There needs to be a place for the Solid Waste Commission to call home.
One thing that I'd like to bring up, I have LCTV3.
Are we moving on to D?
Yeah, I guess we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
LCTV3, back in 2021, I believe, we voted, the Solid Waste Commission voted to enter into an agreement with Mr. Touton to record the meetings. At the time that we did it, we were at Loudon City, and he did it up until he was asked by the IT department not to do it anymore. I wondered why he stopped doing it. We have an agreement, and this commission would have to vote to break that agreement. One concern that I have, though, what I liked about TV3 is that they would be using our equipment, but on the other hand, the community channel, or actually cable TV, collects revenue for the county to the tune of $200,000 or $300,000. So they're also bringing in revenue for cable patrons. So the county could offer YouTube, but for people that don't have internet or TV or internet service, they may be able to watch it on cable TV. So it was a dual thing. This commission will have to decide whether they want to pay $50 or not, but that's one reason why he wasn't recording.
Thomas is doing it now, Faye.
Well, Mr. Touton was supposed to do it today, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. All I'm saying is that if you want to change the agreement, you're gonna have to make a motion to,
Well, the county's been recording it, so who told Channel 3 to change it or to start taking over today?
I did. I ran into Mr. Touton at the retreat. I asked him why he wasn't recording. He said that Thomas had told him not to record. And he said, am I supposed to resume? And I said, yes. I mean, we had an agreement with you, and the only way that we can change that agreement is to have a motion to undo that. But he has been, he's been the person that was supposed to be recording it up until he was told not to.
Well, so I guess the question here is,
Who's recording it?
do we want the county to do it for free, or we want to spend $50 a month and have Channel 3 do it?
County do it for free.
Well, is that the form of a motion?
I'll put it in the form of a motion.
So that motion is to let the county record it and not TV3.
That's the way we've been doing all the commission meetings.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
You gotta go second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's have it.
No,
No?
no.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a no also.
So 5-2.
Like I said, there is a sliver of people out there that don't have internet. The only other option is they have Dish or Direct that they could get YouTube. If they don't have any of those, then I guess they're still doing analog, but there may be some out there in the community.
I don't think we're stopping TV3 from carrying it.
No.
They're welcome to carry it.
Well, they've been paid up to this point, they've been receiving money and haven't been. I think they need to refund their money, or
Well, I think the mayor said that there's a question whether you can cut them off because
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they generate revenue.
It's
And-
being
and-
live streamed right now.
And if we have to pay them, I think that we should get a service. I always thought that we shouldn't have to pay $50, that it should have come under the umbrella of whatever we give them, $6,700.
I make a motion that the chairman get in touch with the mayor and find out just if we are obligated under any kind of agreement, interlocal agreement or whatever, to allow Channel 3 or to video and televise meetings. If we're not, then
Well, the county commission doesn't even use them anymore.
I don't
Excuse
know.
me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
When I was chairman of Solid Waste and we entered into that agreement with TV3, they sent us a bill for each one they recorded. So if they recorded 5 of them or whatever, they sent us a bill and we paid it.
what was
So
it,
if you
Kelly?
have not been getting those bills, then you've not been paying TV3 to do it.
Well, we had bills and we did pay them up until they stopped doing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so he was saying that you've all been paying them and they've not been recording.
Well, we paid them in fiscal year 2022 and some in all of 2022, I believe.
Yes, but I think Mr. Satterfield was understanding that you were saying that you were still paying them.
No, I'm
and they
talking
were
about
recording.
revenue. I'm
Well-
talking about revenue that is generated from cable that goes to fund TV3. And, now he was charging additional, he was charging $50.
That's
What-
what I'm saying. He
What I'm
would
saying is
bill
that for
us- he would
$6,700,
bill
we should
solid
get it
waste
for free.
$50 for every solid waste meeting he recorded.
It's on YouTube.
And when the county took it over, started doing all of the recordings, he stopped recording, TV3 stopped recording solid waste meetings.
Thank you, Kelly, that clears up. I changed my vote to,
Well,
Yes.
it stopped, but the
So
cable,
now we're back to 6-1
but
for
the
that
county
vote.
started doing it.
yeah.
It's on YouTube and it's on TV3.
And it's also on your website.
Yeah, and I'm watching her. I just checked it.
Are you
It's
watching
live.
it on TV3?
Yep.
Okay, he's recording it then.
Yeah.
We owe him
according to
$50.
Thomas, it interrupted his recording. They interrupted his recording.
Well, moving forward after tonight,
Yeah.
no mas TV3.
Until somebody tells us.
Monthly expenditure submittal, is there any monthly expenditures to submit?
Yes. We have a reimbursement to Mr. Hall for $87.59 for the, what is that, an amplifier?
Speaker.
It's a speakerphone that links up to your cell phone. It's
Great purchase.
It's for dialing in
Perfect.
Miss Murphy.
Okay, what else?
We have legal for $660.
Do we have copies of this for us all to look at?
I do. I'm gonna pass this around.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a reimbursement for office supplies, the thumb drives that I've been buying, $40.41 plus some ink. New Sentinel, $33.79. Daily Edition, $75. 2 stipends, and the other one is gonna be Mr. Kevin Stevens. He wants his money, $2,500.
Is he going to surrender what we've asked? Records, or are we gonna have to take a separate path to get those?
Ms.
I-
Murphy recommended a separate path. to get
Separate
those.
path, okay. I make a motion, we approve those.
Well, I
as
wanna look at it all
expenditures.
before we approve it.
Well, I don't have any question about it.
Oh, and two stipends for April 11th and April 20th.
Make a motion to approve pending Adams' perusal.
Still approve before I approve it.
There you go.
I'm bad at taking somebody's word. I will eventually learn one of these days.
I waive my approval.
Okay. Unless the Jackson law applies. I'm gonna have to look that up and see exactly what that is.
Oh, you'll love it.
Doesn't have anything to do with Andrew Jackson, does it?
No.
So are we in the News Sentinel or are we in the Daily Edition? Where are we in? Because here's the News Sentinel.
both.
Because I had to run an ad in the News Sentinel because the Herald is on Wednesday and I missed the deadline for the other newspaper.
Daily edition.
Plus, we can't vote at a workshop, so, or work session. So our special call meeting that you wanted to combine, we couldn't do that anyway because we can't vote at a work session.
Okay.
We had to have a special call meeting.
Okay. Good to go.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, my motion still stands.
You have to sign those, 2 people. You and the vice.
Okay. Thank you.
We got a motion, do we
Motion to
get a
approve
second?
expenditures.
Who was the second?
Give us a second, one of you.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I guess it deals with money, so like you say, we'll do a roll call vote.
Go ahead. It is money, you gotta do a roll call vote.
We just gotta ask you everybody's name. They
I don't know.
vote.
Mr. Rowley, please.
All right.
Larry?
Yeah, the cable guy here.
Okay.
Mr. Hall?
I'm a yes.
Mr. Rowley?
Yes.
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 Aye. One thing in terms of stipends, I would request for somebody to make a motion to reduce the chair's pay from $200 down to $75 effective this meeting.
Do we need to do that at workshop first, or?
We didn't talk about it.
I hope not. I don't want $200 to do this, so
Well, we didn't talk about it.
well, it's up to you
So-
guys. I'm just trying to not take as much money.
Well,
So y'all do it how you want to.
I think it should go to workshop and we talk about it.
I don't have a problem with doing that. I just didn't know if we were doing protocol. I know
We should follow our rules.
county commission, you have to have workshop if you buy a toothpick.
Well, we just decided that we would do everything at workshop before we brought it here, so. You can donate your money to charity.
When is the next workshop, by the way? May, what,
I'd have to look it up.
Second Thursday in May.
second Thursday in May?
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Follow up to the 13th work session, Republic written response to us concerning questions, requests concerning permit timetable, airspace, current elevation, hydro, geo, etc.
When do you think we'll get some written responses?
Have you submitted written questions, or are we aware of
He was
what?
taking notes during the meeting.
And our takeaways from that, I don't believe we understood there to be any formal responses you were expecting, but if you are, we're happy, of course, to.
Well, I
submit
gave
that
him a
to you.
list of things with regards to the permit process, the steps. He took that with him and he was going to tell me what steps you have fulfilled, what you've done so far, and he was gonna get that back to me.
Yeah, I think we took good notes, but I think there was also mentioned in that meeting that there would be a written request sent, and it might not have been, because I know you asked some of the commissioners to write those down, but we can get on it.
Well, I submitted that to him, so I'd like a response.
I just wanna make sure that we don't miss anything you want, so we'll definitely, how about we'll do our best to decipher, or not, that's the wrong word, we'll do our best to come back to you with what we think you're looking for, and you look at them and tell us, yes, that's correct, or no, we want more, and then we can get back to
Well,
you.
I'll
that way.
also submit some written
You're gonna,
comments.
we'll wait till you submit it to us then.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'll send it in to David.
So our workshop's May 11th, is that correct?
If it's the second
Yes.
Thursday.
If I
So can
could,
we have answers in by next, or questions in by next Thursday and responses by May 4th?
Sure.
Is that weak enough to respond?
Yeah,
so
I'll send mine ASAP.
if I could
Absolutely.
offer something that might move forward a little quicker.
Please.
I think Mr. Anklin has kind of captured the gist of what the questions were regarding, you know, is the daily usage correct? Are the elevations matching up? You know, what's the basis for, you know, the profile of the land, you know, all those things. Thank you for putting it in writing,
Putting a lot
doing
of work on
cross
that.
sections and all that. So maybe just responding to that in some detail to explain why you either agree, don't agree, and if so, why, would go a long way toward answering at least my questions anyway. I don't know about the rest of the commission, I won't speak for you.
Go ahead.
So we've got something in writing. It's numbers, it's cross sections, it's elevations, it's tied back to Republic's supplied documents. And can you, you know, just
Sure.
address that?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
We can try and provide a response to it.
Okay.
Anything else on F? Okay, G, aerials, January, request for documents reporting 5.1 operational 2007.
I think he gave us the AER report. The aerial that is due in January, how do we receive that?
It's updated monthly on your airspace utilization, and the number is actually real this month because we did a flyover, so the March number is real.
Okay,
Does that fly over for the annual engineering report? Is that,
That was done in December
okay,
for the AER.
all right. Yeah.
that takes care of G and H.
Draft financial statement, audit purchasing procedures and manual, Poplar Springs.
I do not know what the status is of the procedure and the purchasing manual. They're supposed to be working on that, but they've been working on it for a couple of weeks.
Flash Schmidt?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll get with them on that.
So I have a question related to Poplar Springs, and it's not for this meeting, but perhaps we can get it on the agenda in the workshop. What's our obligations with regard to long-term, this commission's obligations with regard to long-term inspection and maintenance and maintaining contracts to do that work?
I think our obligations expire in 08 or 2028, is that correct?
I think we're into year 6, but to answer your question, we are the cash cow. We simply pay for it. We have nothing to do with,
Well,
with
I'm not looking for an
anything.
answer today. I think I'd like to discuss it in the next
Oh, that's right,
workshop.
it can't be
And
discussed here. 'cause we're
understand
discussing
how
the
that
workshop.
process is being managed.
3 more years left?
We can get a copy of the contract.
Yeah, that-
And it specifies who does what.
Okay, that's the nature of the question.
Notice of violation, update. I know we got a report from an engineering firm, correct?
Do we have an update on the notice of violation? As far as where we are in the timeline?
So we're exactly adhering to the timeline that's been provided in the notice of violation. So every single step that's on schedule to be completed. I believe, Teresa, you correct me if I'm wrong, next step is seeding. So there's that big like 6-area exposed slope on the east side. And Teresa's got the stormwater terracing and let down structures almost completely installed, and seeding is scheduled to start Monday. So that's about a month ahead of schedule, but we wanted to make sure we're hitting the spring seeding window as best we could. So that's really the primary item. I think she already said that we have Moby Dick coming out to meet with her.
26.
I say she's, sorry, I'm not, but you got it. So Teresa's all over it. There's been no additional communication
Thank you. Any other questions on that issue? For public operation reports.
First is the landfill tonnage report for February. Our 22.5-day average is 581 tons. And our 30-day average is 436 tons. And then next we have the summary customer activity report. I'd like to review that.
Do we have any new customers?
Yes, ma'am.
And who's that?
Liberty Tire, Big Orange Dumpsters, Coker Waste Solutions, and Patterson Waste has returned.
What is Liberty Tire doing?
We're taking, it's an approved special waste. We're taking their tire shards that they're not able to get rid of in their recycling process from Knoxville.
Does Waste Authority use the Matlock Bin landfill? Waste Authority? It's a garbage service.
Not that I know of.
They do not?
Ready to move on? Next is the material classification report. We had 10,534 tons of MSW, 1,686 tons of special waste, 860 tons of sludge. Total material was 13,080 tons, which was made up of 81% MSW, 19% special waste, and 7% sludge. Next is the waste, special waste analysis. We'd like to review that. Then we have the 2022-2023 Matlock Bin tire report. We had a total of 2,470 tires, and that brings the annual total to 18,587. After that is the 2023 origin report. We'd like to review that.
Mr. Hall, Mr. Pauling said, with regards to the quarterly report, aren't we supposed to get also every quarter something that is sent to TDEC that shows the dollar amount of fees that we collect, that we send to TDEC?
That's in your additional information package.
Okay. Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is the host fees. We had a minimum fee of $10,572.50, and then the security fee percentage was 5% with $22,082.84.
That it? Landfill inspection report?
The March, at the request of a member, the March inspection report was included in the additional information package that I gave out tonight. We do not have an April inspection as of yet.
Any questions about that inspection report?
No.
M, accept resignation of Chase Randolph.
Make a motion to accept this resignation.
For a second?
Second.
All in
I would
favor?
like to make a correction.
Okay.
It says that he resigned at the meeting, he resigned after the meeting. I think that's,
We'll sit at the end of the meeting.
The end of the meeting.
no, it was after the meeting.
We're splitting hairs, but regardless, all in favor of
Ms.
accepting his
Fritz was
resignation?
correct.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Hunter, did you vote?
With the correction,
I'm just saying to accept his resignation.
Yes, with the correction.
Move for adjournment. Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There we go.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go home.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How y'all doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I overheard you the other day, you had some coach people. Yeah. I'm doing it right now. Hey. Ours is fine. Workshop? Yeah.
You guys need anything ahead of that, we'll.
Yeah, well, sooner. Who's in charge of
I'm
land?
not gonna turn
You?
part one, but it needs to be addressed. There's some questions
I
on
can call. And I'm not
I can explain it pretty clearly.
Yes.
I'm on tenacity, stood out in the road for 2
Look
days.
at the facility and footprint and all that.
321.
You know, there's no way to build that.
Yeah, I'm not picking
without
on
building
you.
on both sides. And lawn slopes and all that, because you can't get a truck.
No, I think that if Commissioner wants to make a change, that is their prerogative.
What are you doing,
So
Bill?
explain.
Oh, hey, stand here for play. I'm gonna get his picture. I'm telling you what, you got a
Give me a call, and
Yeah, anyway,
But-
good to see you.
The question then comes, if that's an acceptable slope, then why doesn't this look like?
It will,
Well,
so this is gonna be,
I think
it's gonna be.
Are you there every day?
concerned.
This is what we are gonna.
Oh, she's the secretary.
When you have
She just
someone
counts.
who's been attending for years,
Same as I do at the commission meeting.
That's kind of like, I'm gonna read those guys across the sides.
They've been in the contract.
Yeah.
Also, I have a concern.
I mean, at the end of the day, I have no incentive to build this cell sooner than I want to, because it's gonna cost me $4 million. I just wanna not run out of airspace for me.
That's why she's calling attendance. Tammy starts her chase and goes all the way down. We gotta record it. We don't record it for workshops. We just leave a blank for.
I don't know about that.
How you doing?
I think it's gonna be a tough job. It's gonna be a tough job, and I don't envy this position. But, as you heard me
It
tonight,
is, it's,
I know my stuff. and I
it's a
continue
learning
to ask
experience,
questions.
it's crazy.
And I will
That's all I
serve
can say. I
public.
didn't believe that.
Concerned citizen raising,
What?
just concerned citizen raising concern. We need to work with
Well, when I do mine, I've got them all laid out, step right along.
I agree.
Do your homework,
What are you up to?
because that's what it's gonna do. And hold your public speak to the fire. Because we know, when that wasn't done, we ended up with
What?
there has to be some oversight.
Oh, hell, to raise hell.
Jim,
That's where
Dave, so what did you do before you started?
I played golf. Oh, yeah, well, commercial nuclear for the first half, my career, Department of Energy stuff to the second.
See you next time.
And you think that?
Well, I think the only thing is that I am
You want
concerned.
key on the street
When
for
you
you?
talk about non.
I think the Department of Energy runs like a smooth watch compared to this commission. That's what I think.
Saying, you know, it's not
Well,
personal.
I
We
would
don't
not
know.
And that's not a vote of confidence
When
for the DOE.
in my earlier career, I worked
No,
in,
Mr. Waller had
for a
insisted that she
manufacturing
fill out
company
a
for
form
22 years,
when you
making
make a
connectors.
request to inspect.
They got bought out, but then I went to
You are
work for the
not
Public
obligated
Utility
to do
Commission.
that.
And I
Understand.
sometimes compare like
You can't set that as a
how things
precursor,
proceeded at the Public Utility Commission compared to these.
as a basis to delay a record.
But
You do not have to comply with.
But it wasn't sort of a shock when I went to work for the
Requesting
government,
to inspect.
when you're in business, you know.
customers call in and they want some action.
So,
Yeah.
if she is getting delay on the county side, that's just more stall tactics.
You have to have it on the.
I went to court in 2007 over public records, so I know how important public records are to the public, and also that they be released on a timely basis.
I don't think, think what you're presenting is wrong.
Well, she should have received them.
Oh, that, sorry.
I will send you what I collected, and, I missed them by 3 days because he was insisting that she fill out the form, she doesn't have to. That is ridiculous. That is putting barriers delay tactics.
Well,
And they haven't done a good job of that, but they know the information.
She just
Just
requested
have to
text
explain it to
messages
you.
and things of that nature during, what happened during the meeting, that's all she requested.
She happened, yes, it happened during the meeting, and, I had asked one of the members, don't text during the meeting, and one of them said, I like to text and I like conference. Well, that's the wrong,
The 22.5
attitude,
day average
know.
was 580.
personally, I don't think anybody should be texting during the meeting, so you can't text and
580
stay
versus
focused on what you
620.
do.
That's not enough cushion to make a difference in my book. So it's more about airspace and what's gonna get filled and what's not gonna get filled.
She was given now that he's the new chair, I'm not sure that it was tied to him being the chair. It was tied to me being the records custodian, so I'm going to look into that. But I can assure you that even in my capacity as just a commissioner, I will assist
Yeah, and
Ms. Fritz in getting her records.
and what's really interesting.
And I have contacted the Office of Open Records Council on several issues, whether it's executive sessions, whether it's public records. And I feel they're a good basis for, for good government and accountability and openness.
yeah, and their point.
That's okay. No, actually, I'm kind of relieved that someone else has to do everything.
But, yeah, there's